Welcome to the Blue Collar Nation podcast, the podcast dedicated to making the lives of home service professionals better. Now join Eric and Larry to talk about all things home service.
Supertech University of the business. Businesses and extreme sports like jumping out of a plane without a parachute. It's a mess. Or rock climbing like that. That looks really cool, actually. Anyway, where are your marketing dollars going? Okay. So I'm going to give you examples like stuff we used to do. Eric and I would go up to a board. I don't have a picture of it. And we'd have a board in our office. And this was right in the beginning. We were advertising to the Daily Bulletin, which was a newspaper. We put a flyer in that. We went to chambers of commerces. We put articles and ads in different magazines that they talked us into. That was a mess. Back then, we used to do the Valpak. And we would write on the board where all the leads came and all the details. But we took time to do this every week. And I'll show you the process. But you got to take time to look and see where everything's going based on where you're putting your money. Hey, do you put it to Google Ads, a TV commercial? A bunch of our clients, Chris Longo and Josh Vandenberg, they use TV commercials all the time. So I don't know if anybody else does. Signage, All City Plumbing, a guy named Anthony Cafagna in Ranch Cucamonga uses them all the time. He does great. B&I and Chambers, we did great. We did great with mailings, and referrals usually came up the highest. Okay, so this is the big issue. I'm not going to throw my wife under the bus directly, but she has a plumbing and water filtration business, and she didn't know her numbers because they weren't being put into the CRM, so she didn't know where the jobs were coming from. So I'm asking you, does each job have a referral source, where it came from? Was it an individual? Was it your Google Ads? Was it your chamber event? Was it B&I referral? Was it a referral from one of your clients? If you don't have this data organized, this is a waste of your time. And marketing is kind of a waste of your time because you're not sure where to put your money. And this makes a big difference. So I'm going to go over a little calculator, not a calculator, but an example, right? So say, for example, you spend $1,000 on Google Ads. You get 5 leads. You make 3 appointments out of those leads. So you get 5 people to call. This is hard. Leads is hard to keep track because whoever's answering the phone has to write down where they're from. You get an appointment. You get 5 calls from Google, 3 appointments. And you sold 2 of them. And then you're going to know how much revenue you're going to get off of that. All right. So if you have revenue of $3,000, that's great. Your cost per lead, if you get 5 leads, it's $200 each, which is $1,000 divided by 5. Cost per job, you get 2 jobs divided by $1,000 that you spent. You sold 2 jobs divided by the $1,000 you spent, $500 a job. Okay. Now, if you spent, why is this jumping around? If you spent $1,000 and you made $3,000, your total amount spent, your ROI is $2,000, right? Okay, and then you can go into lifetime value per client. If you know your lifetime value per client, this one I'm saying it's $10,000 is a lifetime value per client. And you say if you get 2 clients, that's the average of 2,000, 20 grand you're going to get it coming in. Okay, and you go down the list. TV commercials, you spend $3,000 on TV commercials, you get 10 leads, you get 8 appointments, and you close 3 of them. That's not as good a closing percentage, right? But you got 3 jobs out of it, and you made $8,000 off of that, right? You add up how much you get from each job. There's not a formula for that, but you add up all your invoices from those 3 TV commercial jobs. So your cost per lead is $3,000 divided by 3. sorry, $3,000 divided by 10 is your cost per lead. You got 3 jobs out of $3,000 spent. Each job was $1,000. So you made, your revenue was 8,000, right? Minus the $3,000 spent, your ROI was 5,000. It's not bad. It's good ROI. And you go down it the whole time. Your billboard didn't work so well because you didn't get any job, or you got 1 job out of it. But your 1 job, you made $1,500 off of it, but you spent 1,500. That's a wash. So that's your worst. Okay, so you got to analyze this stuff. When I started talking here, Eric and I would do that on our board on a regular basis. We'd write down how much came in from each referral source. Each time we went somewhere, we would write down literally on a board. It was a whiteboard. Every single week we did this. Every single Friday afternoon, we knew where all our jobs were for the week. We went through the whole week and we put them all on the board. We broke down how much revenue we made on each job, and we would just fill this out. Once we filled this out, it was amazing. So I could go through the details aggressively, but I've got a sheet I want to share with you, okay? If anybody wants this sheet, please put your name and email in the chat, or put your name and email in the comments on Facebook, and I'll share it with you. Okay? It's a marketing scorecard. Okay? I'm going to break it down a little bit. So each day, outbound sales calls, your business development rep calls, how many people they got from that. Okay, so your business development rep was targeting people, your follow-up calls, your door-to-door, your referrals, ask for reviews requested, all these things. What was your actions that week? Target actual notes. And you put them all up on there. Okay, your follow-up calls, texts, and emails. Who are you targeting, and what type of feedback you got? Okay. And then your weekly scorecard. How many days you prospected? Okay, how many times you planned and completed? So if you planned Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you only got the 2 days, but completed 2 days. Total outbound touched. How many times you plan to touch people and how many completed? And you get on the list. You do this weekly. So either you're doing this or somebody you hired is doing it. And they're going to hand it in at the end of the week. You're going to go over it at the end of the week. You got to hold yourself accountable or somebody else. Just like this one back here on the last page. Daily action. You have to hold yourself accountable for doing these things, and then doing the weekly scorecard, and then the weekly. This is the monthly marketing review, just like we were talking about a minute ago. Our numbers, leads generated, jobs booked, revenue from marketing, average ticket for marketing, cost per lead, cost per book job, best performing channel, worst performing channel. You look at all this data, and all of a sudden you know exactly where to go. If you don't know where to go with your money, where the best place to market is, you're wasting your money. The whole idea is to get the most out of your marketing spend. Okay? Prioritize looking at your marketing results. We prioritize it. We got great feedback out of it. We knew what worked and what didn't work. And we're able to extrapolate this out. If we knew, for example, I'm going to go back here to our data stuff, for example. So if you know you're going to spend $1,000 on Google ads, and you're going to have revenue of 3,000, it's a 1-to-3 ratio, right? You got to count your job costing, but just for this, if that's consistent, the 1-to-3 ratio, you know you're going to put $1 in for Google ads, you're going to get $3 out. Same thing with the commercial, TV commercials. You put $3,000 in, you're going to get $8,000 out. You know, you put $3 in, you get 8 out. If it's consistent, you can do this over time. You can predicts what your marketing is going to do. If we looked at this BNI chamber, you put $500 in and you get 4,000 out. That's pretty good ratio. It's 1-8. That's great, right? And you know the money that you're going to get, the return on investment. So the idea is to extrapolate this out. So if you prioritize this, like I was talking about, you can put that number into your budget and you're going to know what you're going to get out of it. It's so much smarter way of running your business. And we didn't start doing this in the beginning. We started doing it, I don't know, about 6 or 7 months into it, because I was curious if we were making money. I'll tell you a story quick about one of our clients. They had a business development rep, and he was going out, right? And this is the form here that you would look at. Scorecard here. They didn't think he was making them money. Then they were looking at all these numbers, prospecting days completed. They didn't think he was doing anything. Outbound touches, they didn't think he was doing a lot. And all of a sudden, they looked at marketing dollars spent, and they came up with a number. And then they looked at how much was coming in from his referral sources, and they were going to fire him. But he was making them a lot of money. It was at least a 1-to-5 ratio. They were paying him $50,000 a year. He was bringing $250,000 in. But they didn't know because they weren't looking at their money. They were ready to fire somebody that was making them good money. And that's not good business sense. They just didn't think he was helping. So you got to prioritize looking at your marketing results. Makes a big difference. And that's where you're going to be able to change where your business goes. Looking at your numbers makes a huge difference.
Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Nation podcast. For more information about Eric and Larry and Supertech University, please visit us at supertechu.com. That is supertechu.com.